Right now, in your wallet, you're carrying the world's most powerful weapon, not because of what it can buy, but because of what it represents. A 80-year-old promise that's about to break. And when it does, everything changes. Here's a question that should terrify you. What happens when the world's reserve currency isn't? Not in a Hollywood disaster movie. Not in some distant future. But in your lifetime, maybe in the next decade. Because here, what they do and teach you in economics class. Every single global reserve currency in history has failed. Every single one. The Portuguese real? Dead. The Spanish silver dollar? Worthless. The Dutch guilder? Forgotten. The British pound? Dethroned, and the US dollar? It's been king for 81 years. You know what the average lifespan is? 95 years. The clock isn't just ticking, it's screaming. But this isn't just about money. It's about a pattern so precise, so ruthlessly consistent, that once you see it, you can't unsee it. For 500 years, the same cycle has destroyed every financial superpower. Phase 1. Innovation creates wealth. Phase 2. Wealth creates confidence. Phase 3. Confidence creates arrogance. Phase 4. Arrogance creates debt. Phase 5. Debt creates collapse. 5 empires. 5 currencies. 1 invisible law. And America? We're somewhere between phase 3 and 4. Maybe already at 5. Let me show you exactly how this happens. Imagine being a tiny kingdom stuck on the edge of Europe, poor, overlooked, irrelevant. Now imagine deciding to do something insane. Sail into an ocean where every map just says, "Here be dragons." That's exactly what Portugal did. While other nations fought over land, Portugal built ships. Not just any ships, the caravel. Faster, more maneuverable, able to sail into the wind. It was the SpaceX rocket of the 15th century, then 1453 hits. Constantinople falls. The Silk Road, your Amazon Prime of the medieval world, shuts down overnight. Europe panics. No spices, no silk, no access to Eastern wealth. Portugal? They're already halfway around Africa. Here's what's crazy. Portugal doesn't find a trade route. They create the first global economy. Gold from Africa. Spices from India. Porcelain from China. All flowing through Lisbon. For 80 years, the Portuguese real is accepted everywhere. It's the first true world currency. But here's where the pattern starts: maintaining colonies on 4 continents. Expensive. Fighting off jealous rivals. Exhausting. Royal family drama. Catastrophic. By 1580, Portugal can't afford its own empire. Spain literally just absorbs them. 80 years. That's all it took. From ruling the oceans to being a footnote in history. Remember that number, because the pattern is just beginning. Spanish conquistadors discover something that will destroy them. Potosi, the richest silver mine in human history. Within a decade, half the world's silver flows through Spanish hands. Ships carry literal tons of treasure across the Atlantic. The Spanish piece of 8 becomes the first currency to circle the entire planet. If you're trading anywhere, Europe, Asia, the Americas, you're using Spanish silver. But here's what nobody tells you about striking it rich. Easy money destroys discipline. Spain has so much silver that they stop innovating. Why build industries when you can just dig? Why invest in education when you have mountains of metal? Why be efficient when you're literally the richest nation on earth? Then the horror starts. The more silver Spain mines, the less it's worth. Prices quadruple. The first wave of modern inflation sweeps Europe. King Philip II defaults on his loans. 4 times, not once. 4 times. Wars drain the treasury. Corruption spreads like cancer. And when silver production finally falls, the entire economy implodes. By the early 1600s, famine consumes Spain. Bankruptcy becomes normal. They had enough wealth to buy the world, but no discipline to keep it. Sound familiar? Keep that thought. We'll come back to it. While Spain drowns in silver, a tiny republic built on reclaimed marshland does something revolutionary. They invent modern finance. The Netherlands creates the Amsterdam Exchange Bank, first central bank. The Dutch East India Company, first publicly traded corporation. The Amsterdam Stock Exchange, first place anyone can buy shares. This is the moment everything changes. For the first time in history, a nation's power isn't measured by the gold it holds. It's measured by the confidence it inspires. Trust becomes money, contracts become empire. Dutch merchants dominate global trade. Amsterdam becomes the financial capital of the 1600s. The Dutch guilder is so trusted that its notes are accepted in Paris, London, Venice as if they were gold itself. But then, 1637, a single tulip bulb sells for more than a house. Read that again, a flower bulb. More expensive than where you live. Speculation goes insane. Everyone's getting rich. Until everyone isn't. The bubble bursts. Fortunes vanish overnight. The first financial crisis in modern history. The Dutch proved something crucial. You can build an empire on trust instead of treasure. But they also proved something terrifying. When trust disconnects from reality, collapse follows. The center of finance shifts west to London. 1700s, a foggy island in the North Atlantic. Britain doesn't find gold. They build something better, machines. Steam engines, textile mills, railways, steel foundries. The Industrial Revolution transforms Britain into the workshop of the world. Their navy rules every ocean. London becomes the financial capital of Earth. The British pound sterling, backed by gold, law, and global reach, becomes the reserve currency for 200 years. By the 1800s, 60% of world trade is invoiced in pounds. Insurance? London. Commodities? London. Investment? London. The pound isn't just money, it's trust made tangible. But no empire escapes the cycle. Britain's colonies stretch across Africa, Asia, the Americas. The sun never sets on the British Empire, which means the costs never stop either. World War I explodes national debt tenfold. World War II makes it unpayable. Britain wins the wars but loses the world. By 1944, national debt hits 250% of GDP. Factories are bombed. Cities burned. Colonies rebel. The pound, once unshakable, crumbles. July 1944, Mount Washington Hotel. Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. 44 nations gather. The decision is already made. The British pound is dead. Long live the American dollar. The torch passes again, and the cycle resets. 1944 to 1971. Post-war America is unstoppable. Half the world's gold sits in Fort Knox, the largest industrial base on Earth. Military dominance. Every currency ties to the dollar. The dollar ties to gold at $35 ounce. The message is simple. Trust the dollar because it is gold. For 27 years it works. Europe rebuilds. Japan rises. The dollar reigns supreme. But then America does what every empire does. It spends beyond its means. Korea, Vietnam. Billions in war costs. Social programs expand. Imports surge. By the late 1960s, there are more dollars circulating globally than gold in Fort Knox. The math doesn't work. Foreign governments notice. August 15, 1971. President Nixon appears on television. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Temporarily? That temporary suspension? It's been 54 years. Overnight, money disconnects from metal. The dollar is now backed by nothing but faith. Many predict collapse. But America pulls off something brilliant. Behind the chaos, Washington makes a secret deal with Saudi Arabia. Price your oil exclusively in dollars. We'll guarantee your security. By 1975, every OPEC nation follows. Now, if you want oil, the lifeblood of civilization, you need dollars. It's genius. Oil demand creates dollar demand. America can now print money without immediate consequences because the world itself depends on it. For 50 years, this system holds. Until now. 2000, foreign central banks hold 72% of reserves in dollars. 2024, that number falls to 58%. 2000, foreign investors hold 50% of U.S. debt. 2024, barely 30%. The world is quietly diversifying, not through war, through choice. China builds the Belt and Road Initiative, the largest infrastructure project in history. The BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa expand to include Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, Indonesia. Together, they launch BRICS Bridge, a digital settlement system using their own currencies. No SWIFT, no dollar. No middleman. For the first time in 80 years, major economies are learning to trade without touching American currency. Meanwhile, U.S. public debt, $36 trillion, 124% of GDP. Interest payments alone. $1 trillion annually. More than the defense budget. Annual deficits. Out of control. Portugal fell from colonial overreach. Spain fell from easy money. Netherlands fell from speculation. Britain fell from imperial debt. America? All of the above simultaneously. Wars plus welfare plus consumption plus credit equals a system running on belief that growth is infinite, but nothing grows forever. Average lifespan of a reserve currency, 95 years. The dollar's reign, 81 years and counting. But here's the thing, decline doesn't mean disaster, it means transition. The next era might not have a single reserve currency. Instead, digital central bank currencies, blockchain settlements, commodity-backed agreements, regional trading blocks. Power spreading outward, not concentrating upward. The dollar unified the world. But in doing so, it created the technology and systems that now make it replaceable. The internet was built on American infrastructure. Now it connects nations that don't need American permission. Empires don't crash. They fade, gradually, quietly, until one day, the world wakes up and realizes the system already changed. Are we there yet? Maybe. 2008, the financial system collapsed from within. The Fed printed trillions to survive. 2020, COVID hits. More printing, $5 trillion in stimulus. 2023, regional banks fail. More intervention. 2024, dollar's share of global reserves hits lowest point since 1995. The cracks aren't forming. They're widening. Every empire writes the same mythology. This time is different. Our power is unique. Our wealth is eternal. Our collapse is impossible. But human nature doesn't change. Ambition turns to arrogance. Discipline turns to excess. Innovation turns to illusion. Faith turns to greed. The pattern has repeated for 500 years. Portugal believed sea routes were forever. Spain believed silver would never run out. Netherlands believed trust was unbreakable. Britain believed the sun would never set. America believes the dollar will always reign supreme. History doesn't bend for belief. It bends for balance, and balance always returns. So maybe the question isn't whether the dollar will fall. It's whether you'll recognize it when it happens. Because by the time everyone sees it, it's already too late. The pattern is repeating. The clock is ticking. The world is already preparing. The question is, are you? This is Capital Historian Studios. The next empire's rise has already begun. The only question is whether you're watching closely enough to see it.